Not many problems that we have as a society cannot be resolved through architecture, because architecture is it. It's how we define ourselves. When I was 5, my mom and dad built a house. I didn't know it then, but the architect was very influenced by Frank Lloyd Wright. My mother had this idea of the old blueprints, and I mean the old where it's all blue and white lines. Mm-hmm. She wallpapered the half bath. And I remember sitting in there and looking at those drawings. And, oh yeah, that's how the kitchen worked. And I would go and look at the kitchen.
That's interesting.
It was all unintentional. My mom didn't say you'll be an architect. It was just there.
That's fantastic.
When Mr. Wright worked, and I tried to emulate that, when you design a building, you're actually walking through it. You cannot give to your profession anything more than what you are. So that the first great work of art that any architect or artist should make is themselves. Architecture is one of the least known art forms in America. It isn't until usually college you can find any class in architectural appreciation, whereas in Europe they live with architectural history and it's part of the curriculum. In 1980 I did the House of the Future, and it was top flight in technology. This is back when Star Wars, the original.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember driving to Motorola with my Star Wars t-shirt on. Say, hey, I have an idea for you guys. Designed all of the aesthetics on the 101 freeway on the Salt River Reservation. I did all of the designs.
Oh, those are beautiful.
And the supervision and work on it. And ADOT was the engineers. I didn't want to do this. I remember one fellow saying in the partnering meeting, said, hell, if we give this to the Indians, everyone will want it. And I said, yes, that's exactly right. And since then, when I was on the Scottsdale Public Art, I was able to convince the Public Art Committee and the council that their section of the freeway should have aesthetics as well. I was on the negotiation team, assisting as liaison between the tribe and ADOT, two different cultures and universes. I've worked on the Hoover Dam bypass bridge.
Oh, that's beautiful
I
too.
worked on the Vail Pass freeway. I've done similar work that I did for Salt River for the Las Vegas Paiute tribe.
Oh wow.
Busy.
So, yeah, you've been very busy.
Well, it's 33 years.
That's a lot of accomplishment, and these are infrastructure things you're talking about.
There are very few human problems that can't be resolved through architecture. When I did the relocation housing for the Pima Indians, one of the features was the child would be able to sleep on the bed and turn his head up and look through the clear-story window and see the stars as his ancestors did. It may not have changed a lot in the person's lives, but gave them an opportunity. It started them thinking differently. So,
I love my skylight in the bedroom,
yeah.
where you can lie there and you'll see the birds fly over, you see the clouds moving, at night the stars.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And then you'll see the teardrop soffit again, and that is what Mr. Schiffner is known for.
You have to have bedrooms that have some sense of beauty, mystery, uniqueness. Give a child the habit of looking at things differently.
So the attorney that purchased the home, he was also a contractor. He decided to hire Mr. Schiffner because he had all the works Mr. Schiffner had done throughout the years, and he thought, I'm going to see if someone can do something with this because there's so many different levels to the house. I want views. I want to be able to appreciate every level on my lot. There's this mountain here. I've got to use it to my benefit. So he came out, he listened to everything that Mr. Jensen said and just completely redesigned the whole house.
Everyone remembers down to the smallest detail the bedroom they grew up in. And outside the window you saw the changing seasons, or sunny day or rainy day. And I spent years asking people in social, can you describe the building or the room that you grew up in? And almost everyone, down to the last square inch, the smell, the light, all of it, they would be able to describe to the last square inch. Interestingly, some could hardly remember it at all. If form follows thought, what the hell have we been thinking? It's the true for a piece of sculpture, a work of photography. So it's the intent. And the intent behind and driving this project was creativity. So that the architecture has a lot to do with things we don't see. The most unfortunate saying that we live and abide by is that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the truth is, beauty exists in spite of the eye of the beholder. It is separate, and it lives.
There like this, and he looked at the house and he goes, the house, it's a sentence. It says something, period. And then he pointed to this little round thing, period.
And so, what is the beauty? That it's appropriate. In all levels, it's appropriate. And then is when you get architecture that has life, and that life can be imparted to the occupants. And then they make it. Architecture for architects is sort of like a prodigy. You participate in the conception, you nurture, you help build up, and then eventually it belongs to the world. Architecture, if done appropriately or performed appropriately, is a process. And it is a process of synthesis. This house is a synthesis of that period of time when the Jensens came to me. And also, as I mentioned, with the glass block. Glass block is a reflection of the reality of the site outside. The other was, this was just solid granite. I mean, that we were built on here. And we really couldn't go down. We couldn't, we could over here because at the living room because of the slope of the hill. And then also is the aesthetic sense of the client. Why in the hell did they come to me? What is it they're trying to find? So with that kind of a philosophy and approach, no two buildings should ever look the same. You can't call it a product, though it is a product of everything being intertwined, but it's really not a product, it's an outcome. So that the difference between this house and many houses is that the site and the conditions and the budget and the labor all dictated the level of design. So what you have now is that you have a work of art.
Right, it's a creation.
And you have to attract the proper client.
Thank you so much for coming and
You're welcome.
allowing us to listen to you and get these stories, because this house has a story now. A special thanks to Dr. Vernon and Dr. Louise Barksdale for offering their masterpiece home for sale and allowing me to introduce its grandeur back into the marketplace. A very special thanks to Mr. Charles Schiffner, the master architect, for his graciousness and time well spent with us and sharing his vision and passion for his love of architecture.